Hi folks, I want to talk about Arizona's basic gun laws. Super basic, okay? You got to be 18 or older to possess a firearm. And that means that you can't have a felony conviction at all in your life, unless your rights were restored, or a domestic violence conviction. That keeps you from being able to legally possess a gun. You have to be over 18 to buy a gun from a private individual. You have to be over 21 to buy one from a licensed firearms dealer. And if you want to carry one in the open, you've got to be 18 or older. That means you can carry it on your hip in the open so everybody sees it. If you want to carry it concealed, and remember, Arizona allows anyone to carry a concealed weapon over the age of 21. There are some exceptions to that. I would recommend always getting a CCW, and the reason being is, and there's some conflict in the law here, but you can have a concealed weapon on you if you have a CCW, carry concealed weapon license issued through DPS, and you can carry one in an establishment that sells liquor, either retail or let's say a bar, as long as you're not drinking. So, but the statute's conflicting, and there's some schools of thought on that, because you're not supposed to have a gun in a bar, period, let alone concealed, period. That's another issue. And also, you can carry a gun almost anywhere except a government building, or let's say a merchant that says no firearms allowed. And if he comes up to you and says, hey, I'd appreciate it if you go put your gun in your car or something, and you don't do that, then you're going to end up with either potentially a criminal trespass or a misconduct involving a weapon, both misdemeanors. Let's talk about Arizona's castle doctrine. Stand your ground. In other words, you don't have to retreat. Now, you can meet deadly force with deadly force, a lethal weapon. And the definition of a lethal weapon is obviously a firearm, a gun, a knife, or anything that can be used as a lethal weapon, like a brick, a baseball bat, or even a car. In the context of a car, you're driving drunk, you hurt somebody or kill somebody in an accident, and believe it or not, it could be aggravated assault or manslaughter, I suppose possibly second-degree murder, but that's because that vehicle was converted into a deadly weapon in the manner in which it was used, which was reckless when you had the accident that caused either a serious physical injury or the death. So just about anything could be converted to a deadly weapon depending on how it's used. So keep that in mind. Don't get behind the wheel after drinking, period, especially with all the things going on right now, because you don't want to end up in jail. With the spread of COVID or the potential of bringing it home, even if you're there a half an hour or whatever, just don't do anything dumb. Going back to what I was talking about before, the stand your ground. You meet deadly force with deadly force, or if a reasonable person in your shoes would believe that the deadly force was reasonable in response to, and I'll give you a hypothetical, a 300-pound power lifter coming at you all the time saying, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to pull your arms off your body. Can you pull out a gun and threaten to use it and possibly even use it? You know, I don't recommend anybody ever picking up a gun when they're angry, first of all. And second of all, you better articulate how afraid you are of that person doing something to you because of his size. Police are going to show up at some point, and you need to articulate to them that you were in fear of imminent bodily injury or death. If you don't say that, if you say something like, hey, the guy pissed me off, and then he came at me, wrong answer. It's best to keep quiet, and the first thing out of your mouth should be, I need to talk to an attorney. But if you end up saying, hey, I was so scared, I pulled out my firearm and I showed it to him, and I said, hey, I'm going to shoot you, at least the case is triable. Again, I'm not recommending that. I mean, you need to be within seconds of getting your ass kicked or dying if you're going to use a gun in a situation like that. I've already gone over the issues with what a deadly weapon is. Regardless, some tips: don't drink and pick up a gun. And also, if you are angry, like I just referred to, you don't touch your weapon. You touch your weapon when you're afraid. That's it. That's the only time. Again, going back to articulating to a police officer why you pulled your gun or why you shot at somebody or shot them or killed them, whatever, you need to articulate to them very clearly how afraid you were. And something that a reasonable person would agree with if they were in your shoes. You know, I don't ever want to live with having to pull a weapon on someone and possibly using it. And that's why you have to think fast. And that's why police officers have split-second decisions that they have to make in many given circumstances. Oh, and by the way, you cannot use a weapon to prevent a theft or vandalism in Arizona. Understand that? Like when we had the crazy riots or what have you, the looting in Scottsdale, a lot of you wondered why the police weren't there. And it's because you can't fire a gun or use a weapon at someone in the commission of a theft or when they're vandalizing property. I know everybody's got a different thought on that, but in any event, those are basic tips. Next time around, I'll go further into some of your defenses and things like that. Thank you.
This posted video is in no way specific legal advice on any subject. It is intended to provide general information for the public. If you need specific legal advice, call Chuck at 480-545-0700.